Nsimbi Podcast.
It's Nsimbi.
Miriam Tamar.
GNL Zamba.
How's everyone doing? Guess you can't answer. So, well, what can I do? I'll just hope that you're
I was like,
how's everyone feeling?
I was like, is this stage? Are you on stage right now? So it's another one of those days where we have the opportunity to thank the heavens for life, and also meet up with people who are beautiful and who love us, and we connect and have dialogue. And I want you to introduce the topic that we're going to discuss today, because I think you are more open to tackling this particular subject.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think I just want to talk a little bit about like what stresses you out. What do you do when you're stressed? I think that's like a good way to start talking about this, like the things in life that create stress or anxiety for us.
Well, stress. That's a very low topic to begin with. Like, what do you do when you're stressed?
No, I'm just thinking, like, I feel like now everyone, it's like a global pandemic of stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's like even before COVID, but as COVID started, like, it's like these are the new, like, everyone has like all these feelings. And
usually when I'm stressed, I just dive more into work. I don't even know how to stop.
You go silent. You don't.
I go silent and dive more into the work instead of just like stopping. So I think over the times, I remember the times when I was like really, really stressed, and I can look at those markers and know exactly what triggered the stress. And I think as time has gone on, I've managed to manage myself better. First of all, I think stress has come out of expectations that you put on yourself.
Yes.
And also, if you're a very ambitious person, it can begin impacting your happiness, the way that you look at things.
I find a lot of times you're like, you drive yourself crazy with like the amount of things you want to achieve and the amount of time, like things might not be possible, but then you feel bad, like you're punishing yourself if you don't make them happen. I used to be that way too.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
so when you're
switch.
stressed, you feel like the 24 hours in the day are not enough at all.
Yeah.
And yet we have learned that the best way to actually manage your day is to be efficient for at least 4 hours in a day.
We read somewhere that you can only put in 3 to 4 focused good hours of work a day.
Yeah.
So now we're like, okay, if we use that model of like doing like kind of the stuff that is admin or frustrating or we don't want to do, and you just know like, okay, it's condensed into these like 3 hours, and then we can do maybe more creative things for other parts of the day, like, and we just switched to a 4-day work week.
Yeah, and it's working out. It's working out perfect.
So now Friday, Saturday, Sunday we take off unless there's like an event or a show.
Yeah.
I mean, now that COVID is coming to a close and more events are going to be open, I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll have to substitute a day or something. But just the idea of creating more space and like more space to live, not just work. Yeah,
more space to enjoy yourself and know that this experience is not a rehearsal, that this is not the rehearsal, this is the real life.
Yeah.
Coming to that realization, I think, is something that only time can teach you, and that you can achieve the things you want to achieve without killing yourself. Because we live in a society where I think everybody is a motivational speaker and they are telling you to grind hard and everything. If you really want it, yes, everybody doesn't want it that bad.
Or don't grind hard and do it, just things that make you happy.
Yeah,
and,
do things
and
that
work
make you happy.
To feed yourself, but do other things. Like, I don't know, I think that comes back to like this idea of like society's expectations for you, and what is happiness, or what is how is your life supposed to fit a formula to be successful and happy? And I think that instead of realizing that's individualized, we all like get sucked up into this idea of whatever's normal. And then you become totally stressed, depressed, like it's like, because that it's like we're all different.
I totally agree. we were watching a show recently, and there's there's the American approach, which is becoming everybody's work approach to life, where everything is work, 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 work. It's like a Rihanna song.
Yeah, well, that's part of why I love living in Uganda versus like, why we moved back. We're like the work-life balance. What do you call it?
But let me first finish my point, because I was talking about this show that we were watching, and everybody's working. That's the American model.
Yeah.
And you find that America is so obsessed with the profits, and everybody's need to survive and make the American dream come true, that you often sacrifice some of the other things that life has to offer in just being still and not doing anything, and allowing yourself to have those moments of not doing anything without feeling guilty.
Yeah, well, it's like, how many articles do you read that are like, it's okay to take a nap, it's okay to sleep in. Like, we need to be told
that it's okay
over
for you
and
to
over.
rest.
Like, you're not a lazy, shitty person if you take a day off. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I was talking about like how America versus Europe. And we were reading about, again, how Europe now is adopting the four work week.
4 day. I forget which country. Was it Ireland or UK? I don't know. They're starting to run it.
But
like
they are very
companies.
progressive out there, and the way that they look at life and the way that they look at success, it's like this life has to be enjoyed, which is also one of the reasons Africans have a totally different outlook. The Africans in the village have a totally different outlook on how life should be lived and how it should be enjoyed. I think it's savored in a way that every moment there's no need to rush, and it's kind of counterproductive for people who want to build things.
Yeah, but
it's
people,
I think. But if that vis-a-vis a person saying, I'm living my full life because I just enjoy doing this activity.
Yeah.
I think it becomes a measure of who are you to say what's an acceptable way of living and which is.
Yeah, well, it's like when you say you're talking about people living in a village, and like part of me is like, oh, is that a happier way if you're like farming and digging all day and then you come home and cook, and or like I don't know the grind of village life. Like that actually sounds really freaking hard.
Yeah, it has its stresses. It has its stresses, but
it then made me think about people who there's like this assumption that if you have less, you don't get to just like enjoy life and have those moments, or like you're not as content as when you achieve more, because we're all like grinding to get more, to have more. But from what I've seen, like that's it. Everyone wants enough. Enough is good, but what's enough? Like I feel like everyone should be able to feed themselves, feed their family, get clothes, and then to be able to have enough to treat yourself in some capacity.
Yeah, so we had this conversation again with my former manager in Kenya, and we're talking about how Ugandans are so laid back compared to the Kenyans, because we talked about how in East Africa, Kenya is like New York. Everybody is like always moving fast, always in a rush to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And while Kampala is like, it's life, bro. Like I could make a meeting with you and decide at the last minute that I don't want to make it. You might be angry, but then again, it's what I want to do. And that's life, and it is what it is. So in that regard, Uganda is like Los Angeles in some regards. Yeah. In the way that
I was like, is it really the LA, or is it even somewhere more laid back, more smaller? Because
but I'm talking about how like in Nairobi, because nobody really owns land out there.
Yeah.
You have to get out of your apartment, get out of your house, go grind. And actually, we're talking about how many hours they have to walk to work and then walk back to the places of residence. And we were looking at that and we were like, oh my God, like Ugandans don't do that. We'll sit in a taxi for however many hours it takes.
Or a lot of people work right within very close vicinity, markets, shops.
Vicinity. And also that because Ugandans have the privilege of having land, they can just grow potatoes, grow cassava, and grow matoke, just enough for the sustenance of life.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's been...
And they will be satisfied, and they will not need to have any other thing to add on to that.
Like the sense of security in that you can always feed yourself, like you have...
Yeah.
Like, you can survive, I think really affects your mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's also like during COVID when everyone's been locked down, like I know our fantasy has been, oh my God, let's buy a place with a lot of land. We want to be able to grow our own fruits, vegetables, feed ourselves, chickens, eggs, like just not have to even like ever leave anywhere if we don't have to, or like if we don't want to have that choice.
Yeah, and
it's really empowering.
It's very, very empowering because you'll find that the most satisfied people, or the people who are beginning this organic movement of going back to the basics, because we have overly complicated life, right?
Yeah.
There's a movement, I think, in most urban cities in the West, where you find groups of people that don't want to work that hard, if that's what success means, because you don't want to work hard and come home to an empty house. You're lonely, you're alienated from the rest of humanity, and you have mental health issues. You'd rather live in a life where you, in a sort of commune, where you talk to all types of friends. You do not have so much money, but then you have a smile on your face. And when your problems arise, you have so many people to share.
Yeah, I mean, we've fantasized about living in a commune. We were like talking to some LA friends at one point, like, should we buy land somewhere and we all can live together?
Maybe we should just buy that land and make an African commune. Eh?
That's so.
Yeah.
But
you're invited. Yeah.
You're all invited. But I don't know, what is that?
The major topic we wanted to discuss today was mental health, basically.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking
and self-care. Which ties into all of this. Like, what do you want out of life? And yes, motivational speakers will make you feel like you're a piece of shit on lying, taking out of your day a few hours to focus on yourself, because everything they tell you about how Elon Musk works 17 hours in a day. They'll tell you about how so and so like was on the basketball court, how many hours he was putting in.
And if you want to do that, that's cool. But
if you're to achieve perfection, if you want to do that and you can handle that pressure, that's fine. But the problem is, it's no longer an individual choice. Nowadays, it becomes a point of judgment of how far you fall from that.
Well, it's not okay. So I would say there's like societal norms, and then there's also the structure of economies that, like, a lot of governments, including the U.S., don't provide much for healthcare. They don't provide much for school. If you don't like work, the average person's working like 2-3 jobs because minimum wage doesn't pay your average life. So essentially, you have to do something weird or have an alternative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're broke. Is kind of how I feel.
Yeah, and then the society is now being manipulated to think that, because I've seen people who work hard and grind 3-4 jobs a day.
Yeah.
Switching from gig to gig to gig to gig.
Yeah.
But then still have to struggle to pay their rent.
Yes.
Or if their car breaks down, they are totally messed up. Their whole life is flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And then we have a society that tells them that they're not working hard enough. And that's where we are finally landing back to a place where now you have to look at the person telling you that you're being lazy when you're doing your best, right? And turn around and say, but who are you to judge when you've never been in my shoes? At least now I think nearly half of America feels that way. The inequality, the hard work, and all of these pressures to chase the American dream and fend for yourself, and it's about you and it's not about the community. We have realized that all of that is it's very dangerous even, right? Yeah. It's very dangerous because you have a very unhappy, very suicidal, very depressed, very mental health affected. Yes, thank you. Affected population.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm like, because I'm thinking about. So I was asking you what stressed you out, and it's like, the need to get so many things done. So feeling like you have to achieve things, and that can be based on like what makes you feel successful and financial stress of needing to succeed or meet a certain level that you want. So I'm thinking like, for me, I think it's it's some kind of struggle between what feels meaningful and then what allows me to be in the present. Because sometimes we have like big projects that we want to do, and I get so wrapped up in them and really excited, but then it's like
you get to realize how much work it is.
The work and the effort. Yes. You're like, after the fact, I'm kind of like, was that worth it?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of other smaller things I could have done that would have still felt meaningful, but like rewarding, but wouldn't drive me insane or exhaust me, deplete me. So it's like, I think now we're trying to be strategic about the things we decide to do, because you have to balance all these things. What's going to bring in money? What's going to make me happy? What's going to feel meaningful? And what's going to still somehow allow balance? Yeah. So I can otherwise you don't even like experience the thing you're doing, because you're just stressed.
Exactly.
I think that's what happens.
Let me give you, there's a perfect example here. It's about the stress, the expectation, which doesn't even have anything to do with you. It has something to do with you, but it feeds a negative side of you, which is basically your ego and how other people see you.
Yeah, your ego and your inner child.
Your inner
traumatized child.
Let me exemplify this. So, I come from a society that has very big African weddings.
Yeah.
And at these weddings, it's
usually... And people like can't get married for like years and years and years because the burden to save up is insane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. But you have these very, very big African weddings. Some of them, it's relatives that you know, and it's the culture in Africa to have it that way, right?
Yeah, and for context, when you say big wedding, because I know that Western people are thinking like 200-300 people is a huge wedding in the States.
Nah, that's not a huge wedding.
And 300 people is a small wedding in Uganda. That's a small
wedding in Uganda.
So you're talking 500, 600, 700 people.
Yes.
Big, these, So keep going. I just wanted to give some context.
So you find that usually that when these weddings happen, it's the joy for the day, and then it's done, right?
Yeah.
But it leaves some of the couples so broken and their relationship almost immeasurable that it brings out the worst out of them. Not only in Uganda,
that happens here too.
It happens here too. I was going to say not only in Uganda but also in LA. Everybody wants this big wedding.
Everywhere.
Yeah, where they invite people, some of whom they don't even like and whose company they do not like, to their weddings. Yeah. So again, it boils down to the choice of, do I need the stress to impress people who don't even like me? Or should my partner and I forego all of the stress, save so much money, and decide to celebrate it with just a few of us?
Yeah.
It's a personal choice again.
Yeah, well, it is a personal choice, but it's layered in cultural expectations, societal expectations, and then what do I want versus what do I want to be perceived as wanting? Like I think so you were just talking about ego.
And by culture,
there's all these terms like ego, superego. Like I don't actually know all those different ones.
We're going to dive a little more into that, and I'll share a little that I know. I'm losing my train of thought here. I was going to talk about culture, whether it's the culture of the place, but culture has also shifted. The culture of our grandparents is not the culture of
course.
The culture now, and the culture of their great grandparents.
It's something. What's the other word?
Yeah. And so you find that in the belief that culture weddings are meant to be big, it might have been very false. You get me? It just evolved because the richest person on that village did a very good wedding, so the next richest person on that village wanted to outdo them by doing a bigger wedding.
Yeah, and I think back in the day,
and it becomes this thing of everybody wants to do a bigger wedding.
Villages were small enough that would just be like, I think they would just be open. Like back in the day, I'm sure it was just like the wedding is down in the gardens and everyone come through and everyone contribute. Like I also think it was probably more communal. I think people
it's
were
more
cooking.
Communal because again all the property belonged to the community. Right, that even with bride price and dowry, they would take the cows out of the community's place because they believed they were gaining somebody new. You get what I'm saying?
Interesting.
And it was a marriage of two communities. And what did they need? They needed bananas, which just grow out of the ground and they are everywhere. They needed a few cows and goats.
Cows and goats,
maybe exchange property between each other, and then you have a friend for life. There's something they used to call okuto mukago. It's like a ritual friendship where you swear not to be the other person's enemy ever, and if you have
is the in-laws do this, or who's that between?
It's usually between the two heads of the communities or the families of either the groom or the bride. And you could take somebody's wife and they do not take that bond of friendship with you, and it signifies something even deeper when a person offers that to you. So it was this bond of, we've taken your daughter away, we've given you bride price. She's not property, she's more like a new family member of ours. We did this at our wedding too. Without the ritual.
Well, I was gonna say, is the ritual, what was it, chewing some coffee? It was chewing something,
chewing
wasn't
some
it?
coffee.
Because I remember it is coffee. Okay.
Yeah, it's coffee, but it was weird because they used to cut somewhere and then put the blood on the coffee berry.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't do this at our wedding.
Yeah, we didn't do this at our wedding.
Gone over very well.
Yeah. But beyond that, we're talking about we always have a choice to protect our peace of mind.
Well, we do always have a choice, but we don't always feel like we have a choice.
Yeah, we don't. But that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the
getting to the place where you realize that you actually have a choice to protect your peace of mind and protect your own mental health. Because you know your limits at a certain point and what ticks you off and what triggers you.
I would say you learning to be able to make choices that are best for you but might upset those you care about or those who are around you. And I know that's like a big thing. We call that like creating boundaries too. So having boundaries of like to protect yourself, to protect your marriage, to protect you in a friendship, like just creating different boundaries between different people, different things for the sake of sanity.
Yeah, the importance of saying no. It's the most liberating thing you can ever do.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty good at it. I think you're.
No, I've learned so much to say no to things.
And it feels good.
Like if they invite me to a party and I don't want to be there, no.
I don't hear the word no.
And I'm not making an excuse for not wanting to be there. I'm just saying no.
I feel like you usually make up some like, I'm actually and I'm just like, you know what? Thanks for the invitation. I'm really tired.
No, there are several ways of saying no. That's saying no without being rude. You don't have to be rude by saying no.
I think you sometimes make up an explanation because you feel like the real explanation isn't good enough.
Okay, if you invite me for a party and I say I'll get back to you, that's a no.
Right, but that drives me insane because I'm like, to me, it's like, how can you tell someone that? Then they're going to be following up. Then you're not answering the phone. That it's like it creates this whole web.
In Africa, that basically means you haven't committed. That means I haven't committed to anything.
Yeah, but then sometimes people show up like they're like, but we talked about things happen.
I said I'll check in with you. Okay, when you show up at my door, show up at my gate, and you want me to go for this thing that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Then the no comes in.
Yeah.
Like no. Right now I'm having a good time with my family members. I mean I'm playing with my nieces and my nephews. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many.
So I think we're talking a lot about different sources of stress or anxiety or challenges, particularly as you're finding yourself, and I think also like I can see the distinction between like I love living in Uganda because it's communal. I think there's so many great things, but then there's the communal stresses of like in the U.S. like we're so individualistic that the family pressures aren't as much for most people.
For your family, right?
I mean, we have crazy family pressures in certain areas, but like my family's spread out across the U.S., which is a pretty big continent, and it's just like,
the U.S. is a continent?
North America.
Oh,
okay, sorry,
I'm
nation.
It
is. No, for a second I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? And it's like, wait, Canada.
But you're right because it's that big. It's really vast. It might as well be its own continent. Yeah. Please
but what was I saying? Oh, like I think in Uganda and a lot of other countries throughout the world, there's different expectations about providing for your family, or there's just different communal expectations, which can create stress as well. But I want to talk more about like ways to cope with stress and anxiety, or things we've tried, or even maybe just like how it's perceived. Like I would say in the U.S.,
do you have anxiety?
I do have anxiety. You were sounding like a commercial, and that was exactly what I was about to say. It's like in the U.S., it's like
Do you have anxiety?
Every other commercial is about depression.
It makes you think you have a disease, like
almost every.
Oh my God!
But I'm like, no, I really have depression and anxiety.
But nowadays it's more like, do you have anxiety? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
You get, like nowadays it's more like, who doesn't?
Well, we have that conversation a lot about like, why is it that in the U.S. everyone identifies as having depression, anxiety, and then you go to Uganda and it's, and I'm always saying to you, like, people clearly
and
are
in Uganda
depressed.
it's a side eye of
what, if you say that, you mean,
like,
or
yeah, like let me tell you a story. So this girl, friend of ours, lives in Sweden. She had been there for like 15 years, moved back to Uganda on her very first visit, and she got a panic attack. And everybody in the car who was with her, and these are people who love her, could not understand what she was talking about.
Just relax.
They were like, she's gone
What's
crazy.
the problem?
Yeah, they were like, she's gone crazy. You get me? So, whereas in the US, that's like...
I'm thinking about when you had a panic attack with my family. You were in the car, and then everyone's like, just breathe. Like, they're like,
yeah.
You're like, I don't know what's happening. They're like, you are having a panic attack. These are the steps to blah, 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 like.
Yeah. I remember I was in the back, I think, with your mom.
No, we were in like an SUV.
But what triggered that?
But
what triggered that is an effect of a society like America and what it has done to black men and black people. You're definitely, each and every day you're living in the fear of your life. So what triggered that particular attack was, I saw a video of Nipsey Hussle getting shot.
Yeah.
So I was in the back and I was on Twitter. I'm looking at the trending stories. We've just had a good family dinner.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. Everything is nice.
Home,
yeah.
A bunch of people in the car. Yeah.
So I'm at the back, and actually we all suggested, should we get another car? No. Let's just cram into this small car.
Squeeze into the back.
Yeah, just squeeze in the back. So I was like, okay, let me jump in the back. Your mom jumps in the back with me, and everybody is almost like
sardines.
Exactly, sardines in a can. So when that happened, it was also a series of just seeing black people being shot by police. And I don't know where it came from, but I just felt like I couldn't breathe. I was hot, I was cold at the same time, and I needed air.
Yeah.
You get me? So that was actually one of my very, very first ways of even like being like, oh shit, panic attacks. I think that happened. You get me? That happened to people. But it was it wasn't my first.
Right.
My first was I was rushing for a meeting. I was running late. Showered so fast. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. It was important to me to be in that meeting. So I rush off, and there's traffic jam, and I'm thinking about, I don't want to be the dude that's late for a meeting that's a make or break.
This was LA.
This was
otherwise,
LA. Yes, this is Los Angeles.
Later, not shower.
Yeah. But on this particular one, it really meant a lot, and I began thinking, I was disappointed in myself that I did not calculate that there would be traffic jam. I did not. I began putting all these things on myself, like
so the blame. I was gonna say that's where the self-blame.
Yeah. I was like, look at you. Yeah, other people are doing that, and you're missing this appointment. You know how many people would kill for this opportunity? So all of that is going through my mind, and right at the intersection of Highland and Hollywood, I had a panic attack.
Yeah,
and a combination of all of those things and thinking about how cops are always shooting black people. You don't want to be stopped by a cop.
Yeah, you don't want. You were then. So you didn't want to. You had to pull over, but then you're
yes,
like, oh my god, I pulled over on the side of the road. What's going to happen?
Yes, you're pulled over on the side of the road, a very busy intersection. white cops are like, you can see the cop car. I'm like, oh shit, this is how GNL dies.
I remember you FaceTiming me.
Yeah, I was like, this is how GNL dies. But long story short, I do a UE. I go behind. I find the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't breathe, and my heart is beating so fast. I FaceTime you.
You FaceTime me, and you're in the car with your shirt off. I was like,
what the
hell are you? What's going on? Like,
yeah,
and you're
it's
like,
crazy.
I'm so hot.
It's crazy. And I think from then, I did not go for that meeting. But
no, you relaxed, you talked, and then you eventually.
I relaxed. I talked to Evan,
my brother.
Who's a doctor.
Because you were literally like,
and it's
am I dying? I think I'm having a heart attack.
And he was like, what's happening? So the whole entire thing was a conversation, and knowing that it is somebody whose information I can trust to explain to me what's happening.
Why is my heart beating? Why am I hot? Why am I?
Yeah. Because and magically, even before we hung up on that conversation, I was totally fine. But ever since that conversation happened and the first panic attack happened to me, I haven't been the same person.
Yeah.
Because
you've been anticipating.
Yeah, because you're always anticipating when is the next one going to happen.
Yeah, losing control.
And then I have always seen myself as this invincible person. Like even in my body, I know I can go to the basketball court, I can be out there for hours.
Yeah.
I know I can go to stage, I can dive into a crowd and party and rock out.
Yeah.
I can go to a bar, the most crowded bar, and still feel at home, or to the most crime-infested ghetto, somewhere in any city where I'm a stranger, and I'll still feel like I trust myself in the situation. So when that happened, I felt like I can't trust my body anymore.
Welcome to my world. I'm constantly, I suffer from migraines and some other and some other medical things that are like, I feel like my body is failing me, or I can't count on my, and then you're angry at yourself, which again,
yeah. And knowing that happens, and now having the experience of panic attacks, or a series of panic attacks now, and when they happen, I'm developing coping mechanisms, right? Are they efficient? I don't know. It's a learning process. Are they healthy? I don't even know, because most people's learning processes and this is how people end up with even bigger problems, because you're trying to extinguish this fire with another wildfire. Basically, it's like you're having a wound and then you pour acid on it.
Well, that's like I was trying to tell you, okay, drink water. Or I was told actually by someone, if you're having a panic attack, to use a brown paper bag because you're breathing your car. But
that's the one that I won't do. That's the one that I won't do, because
but it's an ego thing. I swear.
It's not an ego thing, because to me it's more like, bro, like, you can train your mind not to do that.
No, but then you have other, if you think, okay, no, I'm going to drink water, or I need to have a glass of beer, or I need
but this is my coping mechanism, because I realized that every time I had a panic attack, anytime I felt anxious, and what's funny is that I've always had actors and musicians say this before they hit the stage. Now, for me, I have never needed anything to go to the stage. If I'm going to the stage, I've drunk a beer, and then I rock out on the stage sober, and then I party after the show is done.
Right.
That has always been why it has always given me more control of my artistry and how I perform. But I've always seen my friends and other entertainers in Africa and Hollywood, the way that they say, I need something to take the edge off. So I didn't know what the edge was.
Yeah, but that's...
The edge is that being anxious.
Yeah, but that's a performance anxiety versus... I mean, it's different. Yeah. I don't know if because I get really nervous before performing. I have butterflies, my stomach's all in knots. I can feel lightheaded. Like, I literally feel almost sick until the first couple notes are out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh, my voice, because it's these fears, I'm not going to sing. I'm going to sing off pitch. The notes aren't going to come out of my voice. And until it's moving, then I'm okay. But I don't think that's. I feel like your sensations are stronger than that even.
Yeah, you've said something eye-opening, and I think it's another way of coping. So for you, you think you're going to sing off pitch and the crowd is going to be judging, everything's going to go all right. While before I had these anxiety attacks and blah, 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 my whole thing of going to stage, I used to getting off of something means you're excited, just because to me the feeling of there's going to be more than 7,000 people here and I'm the one holding the microphone and everything that I say is coming through the microphone and I'm controlling everything. So I think I had trained myself, or not even trained myself, because I think that was natural.
Yeah, I think for
I never had stage fright in my life. Mm-hmm. I've never had stage fright in my life. To me, it's those butterflies. Yes, I'm not sure, but I trust that even when I fuck up, I'll make a joke about it and we'll deal with it. While we're on stage.
See, and I'm always envisioning failure. Complete failure. I'm horrible. Everyone hates me. No one wants to listen. Like, it's like every extremes.
Yeah, we've been to shows where we prepared our best, rehearsed our best, we have the best band, and then we go to a festival and the sound engineer just totally, actually you even do the sound check and the sound engineer
by the time you get on stage, all of a sudden the mic's not on.
The mic's not on, everything is messed
You come out and you're like, yeah, and there's no noise, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, but usually the attitude is, I usually look at you and I'm like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't freak out. You get me? Like, I hope she doesn't freak out. I hope she doesn't like take this way too serious, because you used to have this thing in the beginning when we just began performing where you used to freeze and look at me. I'm like, don't look at me, look at the crowd. Act like everything is normal. There's nothing to see here. So it's usually a trick of knowing that you can mess up your lyrics. I've seen my best rap stars mess up their lyrics. I've seen people freestyle and you discover the mistake in how they put their words out. I've done that several times where they're like, you need to go back and correct this word. Where the producer's like, and I just say, you know what, even if I tried, I will not capture the same energy of the freestyle. So let it go out in the energy of the freestyle that it is. And those songs with mistakes I've done far much better than the songs where I overthink it and try to be perfect. So I think here, in managing our anxieties, depressions and mental health is, no, you're not perfect, right? You are not perfect. And in knowing that you are not perfect and that you are allowed to make mistakes, I think it frees up so much pressure.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like there's knowing you're not perfect, but then there's still the expectations or the standards one holds oneself to, which I think that's a struggle too. So I can say I'm not perfect, but this is how I do things, or I expect a certain level of something from myself.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, in Uganda, what's, like, I know what I've seen in terms of how anxiety and mental health.
Sorry, before you go into Uganda, let's think about it this way. We both love comedy. We go to the comedy clubs and we watch comedy performers do their thing.
Right.
Now, often there is a heckler, somebody in the who who just won't shut up. You get me? And let the person do their thing. Now, I usually watch how these comedians react to hecklers. So there's the comedian who first lets the moment sit, and then he comes through with a joke that kills the crowd, right? And then there's the person who's so bothered by the heckler that it throws them off totally. And even if their next jokes are funny, you know that the heckler stole their show. Yeah. So I'm forgetting what my point. I'm forgetting what my point here is. But yeah, here's the point. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is, let's take the heckler to be the mistake or the unexpected.
I thought the heckler was going to be your inner voice, your inner critic or something. But
or your inner critic. But just know that even if it's there and it's present and you might anticipate that it might happen, whatever you say after that is entirely up to you, and tomorrow will be another day. I've seen the best comedians say this, or the best performers ever. They just say, I bummed, or bombed on this show,
bombed,
the best of the best say, I did the one of the worst shows I've ever done. Dave Chappelle says this a lot.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, Close to Perfection, but he was talking about shows that he did that were really bad. You get me? So, pun intended. But I'm saying that all of these unexpected things and the pressures that we put on ourselves, we should just know that it is okay to mess up, and accept that you're human, and not put so much pressure on yourself to always be excellent. Yes, learn from mistakes when they happen. You don't want that to become a pattern of you messing up, because it will mess up your professional career. But then again, when you mess up, it's okay. And you'll always move on, and life, it might not even be as significant. You might not make it as a comedian, but you might own an entertainment company. You get me? So it is life at the end of the day. So I did not go for the meeting that I was going for when I had my first panic attack.
Right.
I called the person and I was honest. And they said they struggled with the same thing too. And he referred me to somebody, and the bond became even stronger. So instead of what would have been a 1 hour, this must happen, became a thing of, we can meet this weekend. And it's a much longer hangout with the person, and you're gaining so much, and you're gaining a friend. So not all things that we make them up in.
Yeah, I know we've talked before about like the way we can blow things up in our minds about how we think other people feel, and it's like you don't know until you say straight up what, and like the only truth comes out of someone's mouth, not your projections. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But what I was
you were talking about Uganda.
Yeah, I wanted you to like share, because I know I'm from the States. I'm from the East Coast. East Coast. I'm from the Boston area. I'm American. I'm Jewish, and culturally in the States, at least for urban populations, and definitely in the Jewish community, like talking about anxiety.
Yeah.
Stress, and using like therapy is our most common tool. A lot of people are on medications across the States. Some people definitely need them. Some people maybe don't. Other people try yoga. I mean, I've tried yoga, I've tried breathing, but for me, I love therapy. I've been in and out of therapy since I was a teen. Like I'll go through a phase where I'll be in for a few years, then I'll stop.
So you've been doing therapy since you were young?
Yeah. My first therapy was in high school. I told you about this. I had a germ phobia.
Yeah.
I went through this weird germ phobia. Like I couldn't.
What's germ phobia? Define it for our people who.
So if anyone, say I had a bowl of chips, French fries, and someone reached in and took one, I'd be like dying inside, like the whole thing's been contaminated. If someone tried to take a germ from my
Is this a thing you had the same disease like Leonardo DiCaprio in Aviator?
I don't know. Or like in the classroom, often the chairs were plastic, so they'd static. There'd be like one piece of hair.
Yeah.
And I'd be like.
But I do that a little bit too. Like, do you touch door handles in latrines, in toilets?
Yeah, but then I just wash my hands. So I went to therapy for it.
No, even if I've washed my hands, I'm not touching that doorknob unless somebody else opens it, or if there's like toilet paper.
Yeah, see, and now people, my mom or people in my family are like, how did you go from being germ phobic to like, I was living in like rural parts of Uganda.
Yeah.
Like,
so you were healed.
Running water.
So therapy works.
Yeah, I did. Exposure therapy.
Yeah.
But no, and then I've been in for different things about like different stages of life where I'm trying to figure out myself. Or I know when I was deciding to become a musician full time, I had a lot of anxiety and struggles with like what I thought my parents expected of me and society expected of me and what I wanted. So to me, it's like there's a massive range of reasons you should go to therapy and talk things through, because to me therapy is retraining your mind to like see things differently or be able to see things differently, because I think we get stuck in these, I don't know, what do you want to call it, cycles or like negative reinforcement cycles?
Negative echo chamber?
Sure, negative echo chambers.
Yeah. I'm so sure there's a technical term, and the psychologists will.
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to say, I also but people don't know, both my parents are in mental health, so I grew up. That's just like It's like the language
both of your parents are in mental health or at mental health
expert in the field of mental health.
Professionally. Yes.
So it's like a family, whatever. It's what we do. It's our hobby. It's our trade. It's our lifestyle.
But you mentioned something which I want you to dive into a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of exposure therapy. What's exposure therapy?
Okay, well, I was kind of making a joke, but there is, because my sister, I'm
wait.
sure my sister wants me talking on the internet about her.
There's nothing dirty about exposure therapy? Am I just having a dirty mind?
Flashing?
Yeah.
Depends on what you need to be exposed to.
Okay.
But no, so you know what exposure therapy is, or you want an explanation?
No, I really want.
I didn't do that with
therapy?
My germ thing. I did like breathing exercises, or I don't even know what it was. And I didn't even like that therapist. She used my name a lot. She's like, Miriam, Miriam. And I found it very patronizing, and it like infuriated me. But my sister had a fear of blood.
Yeah.
This was even when she was younger. I don't know, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
She had to go do exposure therapy, where she like was literally like exposed to bloody, like had to first learn to talk about, then watch things with blood. Then I remember her graduation was she left the office with a chicken heart in a bag. So it was like, but no, there's different.
You know.
There's psychoanalysis.
Yeah, I understand.
Psychology. There's so many.
But you know that's so different. Like the reason why I'm laughing is because. Yeah, she had the fear of that, I think.
So what would have happened if someone's scared of blood when you were growing up? You're scared of blood. What would your parents have done?
That's what I'm
They would have been like, "Here, your face. Get over it."
No, they wouldn't do that. But we grew up seeing blood.
Yeah, so maybe that's not a good example, because you slaughtered animals.
No, like you pass the butcher. There's meat hanging when you're going to school.
We're very sheltered. Our animals are all packaged.
You're talking to someone as they're killing chicken or a cow, a goat, or.
So I'm trying to think. So that wouldn't be a good one. But like people have fears of spiders. Like there's just things.
Everybody has their fears. There are people I know in Africa who are scared of mice. Scared of like cockroaches, and
you've seen me with mice and rats. Like,
they
terrify me.
Everybody has their.
I think if you were to go to your parents growing up and said something, there was something that like really upset you, disturbed you repeatedly. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for kids to describe anxiety or stress or fear.
So most times in. So my experience is different. Again, I'm not trying to paint myself as a perfect person at all. But where I grew up and how I grew up until I had my very, very first panic attack, I don't think I had stresses. Of course, I have the fear of snakes. And so to me, it's either, is it just a natural fear of self-preservation when you see a snake or something that could bite you? I have those.
What about the professional anxieties of achieving a certain amount? Like you were too young to feel that way?
I was always too young to feel that way.
You're just enjoying the ride.
I was enjoying the ride, and because I was the only boy in the family, I was like kind of babied.
But what about when you left?
I also did well in school.
I was going to say, when you left school and you said you were going to do music and your parents were pissed.
Yes.
I'm sure you that wasn't a dark time emotionally.
So it was a dark time emotionally for me, but it wasn't, it was because there was nobody there to talk to. But then I held it in because I had so much drive for making hip hop popular or creating a classic hip hop album and blowing up, that even the rejection when it came, it hurt so much, but tomorrow was another day when I could try.
Yeah, I think I would say, like, I know with me, when I don't, the time that I decide I need to talk to someone about something is when it starts interfering with my life, which is like you're saying about a panic attack. Now, if you're driving and you then can't drive and that becomes a regular thing, then you have to, you actually have to find a solution. So if you're feeling down but it's not impacting your day-to-day, it's very easy to ignore it or put it aside or say, I'm functioning, I'm fine. Doesn't mean there's no issues or childhood traumas or other things that aren't buried. But often when we think we're functioning day to day by societal norms, then we leave everything alone. we don't dig. Whereas I like to dig.
Yeah. You like to dig?
Yeah.
Okay, so I dig that. So
dig?
I never like saw a therapist, or maybe I received therapy by having so many friends when I was growing up.
Yeah, well,
and having so many family members around me. I never saw the need for seeing. When I lived in Africa, I think I held the same view that so many Ugandans widely have towards the field of mental health and all of these psychological problems, because most of them you just deal with it.
Yeah, and you also always talk about like there's structures within the community, and you talk to so and so, like the males talk to the males, or there's different.
Yeah, you either call your cousin, you call your uncle, you call your auntie, or whoever you could.
Right,
you know.
and I mean, I think that works for a lot of things, but then I know I talk to my mom, I talk to my family about so many things, but someone who's trained, although my parents are trained, but there's things I don't want to talk to them about.
Yeah.
Boundaries. But yeah, but it's different talking to someone who can provide empathy or maybe help you problem solve. Some things can, but some things, I don't know. I feel like some things definitely professional helps.
What's funny is, and I'm talking about therapy, but it may be, I shouldn't even call it therapy, because I remember when people would fall, like physically fall, and then you tumble and fall on you, whatever. And we grew up in a society where they wouldn't say sorry, they would all burst out and laugh. But I don't know, for some reason, them laughing also made the person who had fallen laugh if the fall wasn't that serious. Does that make sense? So in America, when you fall, or even before you hit the ground, everybody around you is sorry.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, are you okay? Are you okay?
And it doesn't mean, when they ask, are you okay? If you say, I'm not really okay, it isn't like they're going to go out of their day to do so much for you, do they?
It depends.
It depends. Okay. Yeah, that was a bad judgment, but it depends. But I often feel like,
but there is the difference of
there's an ingenuity in that the "are you okay" is just said because it's the polite thing.
Well, it's
to
also
say.
a different thing. It's a different view of suffering. So if you're laughing at someone, like, not that it's extreme that you're suffering, but if someone is hurt or struggling or
if you fell and broke your hand, definitely nobody would be laughing.
Well, they're laughing until they realize you broke your hand.
Yeah, exactly. But if you broke your hand, they're going to take you to the hospital. They're going to take you to
the
all
US,
those other things.
People expect you probably are hurt, so we're gonna treat it like it's really serious. But maybe you're just like, oh no, I'm fine. Oh my God, that was so embarrassing.
Yeah. There's the expectation that you're going to say, I'm fine. You get me? It's almost like they're disappointed you say you're not fine.
You, when you're giving this example about Uganda, what are you connecting that to with mental health?
Connecting that to, I'm remembering the basketball team, like going on tours and whatever, and, and how we dealt with losing matches. So all of us would be angry. Some people who are like really invested in the game would be crying. There would be the joker on the bus, always cracking jokes whether you've won or not. Sometimes he's annoying when you've lost, that he's cracking the jokes. But over time, he would make everybody light up. You get me? And you go back and then re-strategize for the next season and work harder. And life would move on. So should we call that, is that what they call group therapy? I don't know all these terms, I just hear them in
group therapy is more formal. But I think you're talking
is
about... Is
group therapy what they do when people say, hi, my name is so-and-so?
Exactly.
Okay.
Those types of things, like an AA
I've seen that in the movies. But we were talking about how people cope with different stages of anxiety. So the way that I'm coping right now with my anxieties is seeing a therapist. So
that was I've been trying to get you to see a therapist.
Yeah,
and I remember in the beginning, and not only that, you used to say you thought they were spies. Like, this went on for years, back.
I'm crazy. You're
like, I think if I tell a therapist my secrets, they'll tell you, they'll tell other people. Like, I don't know who they're sharing them with. I was like,
I don't trust people that much. I don't really share like that.
Well, I had to concede that, like, of course there's like rogue people in any profession that are not doing what they're supposed to do, but like, no, that's, I mean...
Because at the end of the day, I come from a society where this is the premise of, there's so many thoughts that are juicy here. We don't share that much, right? With other people out of our circle in Africa. You share with your family, share with people in your circle, and then that's it.
Yes.
You get me? While you're raised to share everything with a therapist, somebody that you trust, you know, like...
Well, even we noticed that even in work, professionally, like Americans will be much more upfront with what they're doing, what they're working on, like trying to partner, and in Uganda it's much more a game of like...
I have to do this. Yeah, hold it down.
Charger.
Yeah, charger.
Computer charger. But yeah, saying in Uganda it's like a game, like no one wants to share their information. They're scared it's going to be used against them or backstabbed. So there's like always this... and people usually say it's like the crabs in a barrel theory, where you're scared you're going to be climbing out of the barrel and then someone's going to pull you down.
Using the information that you give them.
Using that
arm them with the information.
Yeah, and we always have a struggle because we go into all kinds of settings, to interviews, or friends come over, or colleagues come over, and I just like share all this stuff about what we're doing, and then G will like pull me aside, or after the fact be really upset, like, why were you saying this and this? Why do they need to know that? Like, so yeah, but I'm curious. Wait till you're in the microphone. Okay. But I was thinking.
But usually when I do that, it's because you're usually sharing
business secrets.
Business ideas.
I know.
You're sharing business ideas, sharing.
Other times I just say things that are
let me finish.
Personal.
No, but sometimes you share.
I share.
Yeah, you share.
I share and I care.
You are a sharer. But in your sharing, sometimes you don't know when to stop. You get me? Like,
according to you.
Yeah, according to me.
And according to your culture.
According to my culture, and also the place that I know so well. Yeah. Like, I know that even if Apple is manufacturing a phone, they're not going to share their business secrets with everybody. Because I've been through this before, where you've written proposals and all of this other stuff, and they do the same thing, or they come back and pitch.
We're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, but I'm telling you about the society, where they come back and pitch your idea to you, and you're like, dude, I told you about this idea about 3 months ago and told you not to tell anybody.
Yes.
So when I see you sharing something which we put a lot of work in, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, no company does that. Coca-Cola's formula is still a secret.
It's personal and it's business. But I want to ask you, because you're talking about a culture of secrecy or privacy. Yeah. And that's paired with a culture of always telling people you're fine. So I'm wondering, what do those two things have to do? So you were saying the secrecy is like your fear to talk to a therapist because they're outside the family.
Yeah.
So it's not someone who's supposed to know your dirty laundry.
So here's the thing.
And you're supposed to just be fine.
My antitrust. I have so many trust issues with people, right?
Yeah.
And my trust issues came in the moment I think I came into the music industry, because learning how the music industry works is like learning how to move in a room full of vultures. You get me? Like, there is the beauty of it is knowing when to do what when, and knowing what people mean when they say what. It's almost like you're trying to figure out the code behind. So,
but then are you saying this is your personal experience, or you think it's a cultural thing?
It's a very, in LA, I was talking to, your uncle had this phrase where he said, the people in the film business are bad, but the people in the music business are worse. Mm-hmm. So it's a culture. It's a culture of the entertainment industry, the cutthroat competition, and what people do to get on top.
I'm asking do you think your experience with privacy and saying everything's okay all the time is a Ugandan thing, or it's because you also are an entertainment
and
being defensive or protective of
yourself.
Yeah,
we are a sum of our experiences.
Yeah.
And in the sum of my experiences, I told you the time where I grew up, even though I grew up in a ghetto, I grew up very protected.
Mm-hmm.
That I lived in a bubble
Yeah.
of my father, my mother, and our nucleus family.
Right.
So coming out of that bubble, going into high school, which was Chira College Butiki, I get introduced to so many other people from different tribes, different countries, and I told you about how we used to bond, being a single-sex school on the basketball team. So those are also experiences where you can tell these people everything, even your dirtiest secrets, and they're not going to say anything. They're not even going to judge you. You get me?
Yeah.
Then from that, you move to now you've graduated and you are at university, and now the circle is different, but the friends you have over there at the university, because again, I think we had cliques of boys or people that you considered your friends, and you talk about everything, embarrassing things that were not embarrassing, business ideas, your dreams, and whatever. And for some reason, we would always hook each other up in terms of opportunities.
So when did
and
that
we were trying
end?
to go. I'm going in a chronological order. So
wait.
after uni is when I decide that I'm going to become a musician, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm not going to do any job which is there was a government job offered to me, there was a university job offered to me, because I did well in my classes. But the antitrust or the betrayals and the way learning the mechanics of how the music industry works, it totally altered the trust that I had in people. It altered my interactions with people, what kind of information I give to people.
Yes. I want to add...
that has been a training of
Okay.
over a decade plus.
Yeah, but I was going to say, not only was it something you were experiencing in that moment, but it was taking you back to your childhood of where your parents were telling you not to trust people.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
That's why we
right.
always almost everything that happens to us, you can trace back to something
To
in your childhood.
Actually, I'd never drawn that.
Yeah, now you are seeing.
This is podcast therapy. I'd never really drawn that line because, growing up, my parents always told me not to play with the kids in the
You
name.
didn't understand.
I didn't understand.
Were crazy and overprotective and
Yeah,
controlling.
yes.
And then now you're also getting this fear of people will let you down, people will disappoint you, betray you.
Yeah, because we used to sneak people into our house, and when our parents were away, because they told us don't play with anybody else, just close the door when you come back from school, eat your food, do your homework, and you can watch TV and do whatever you want inside the house. You get me? And this was a very small house in the middle of the ghetto, and you just watch the neighborhood kids playing or doing whatever. And sometimes we would sneak people into the house, right, to just come and play with us so that daddy or mommy wouldn't find you while you're playing outside where they told you not to play. But then when you would invite some of these friends, they would steal stuff.
Really?
You get me? So that's,
oh.
Yeah, they would either steal things or break things.
That's even
and,
now, people say, don't, that so-and-so's bad, and we're like, no, give them the benefit of doubt, they've grown, and then you find things missing or something.
Yeah, you're like, damn. But I was told not to play with people. My sisters were told not to mess with boys because boys would get them pregnant and give them AIDS. All of these things parents do to protect their children, they're multiplied 1,000 times even more when you live in a ghetto. Because I grew up in a ghetto of Kawempe. When you grow up in a ghetto and you want to raise a boy with a head on his shoulders, who you're not going to lose to drugs, alcoholism, or just being an adolescent who is uncontrollable, a hoodlum basically. You have to watch each and every step and everything that they do. So my parents' solution was give them everything, work so hard that you give them everything that you need, and cut their friends off. Let their friends be the TV, the books, and basically that was my upbringing.
You can see that now reflected in how you interact with people.
Yeah, that's how I got to listen to so much music.
Yeah.
So much music, and watch like a billion videos.
Netflix?
You know,
no, music, no, I know. But I'm saying now.
MTV,
I'm saying it's reflected now also in that
Channel
that you're very protective of yourself and it's very hard for you to trust people.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, so do you think that the people, that group of guys that confided in each other, you went one way and had an experience with them, but do you think they've remained to this day from what you know?
Yeah.
Connected? Do they share their failures?
Do you know what's funny? Yes.
Their anxiety, their fears?
Exactly. So
they do.
They are still together, and I'm kind of jealous of it.
Yeah, I would be.
Because I'm the only one in that circle who is not really in that circle. And it so happens that I have like 5 of these circles of different people that I have met, of my high school friends, my basketball friends, my college friends, and then I have my business friends.
Yeah.
Now, usually they have, they stay together, they're like closely packed. And every time they add me to the WhatsApp groups and I see the conversations, but I see the level of interaction and the distance that we have between each other. It's like by miles, and the jokes and things that they now have inside jokes that I no longer get. And they invite each other and hang out at each other's birthday parties. They know their daughters, age and whatever, doing what. And they share all the dirty jokes and the dirty pictures in these WhatsApp groups. But I'm not a part of that conversation, and often it's easy to reconnect with most of these people. But now I'm in a position where what I say could become a screenshot, and I don't know who leaked it. Or
has that happened? Or
what
it's just
I
the
share,
fear? It's the fear of it happening, or it's happened.
You would be stupid in the music industry to think that nobody is recording you when you're talking to other people, or that a screenshot wouldn't be leaked, because you're in a position of interest, which is also part of understanding your position when you have fame or popularity. It's a responsibility to protect yourself, your brand, and your business, because at the end of the day, that's what feeds you.
So do you think that because these guys have each other...
That's how girls' nude pictures leak. They send them to somebody they think they trust,
But do you think that these guys, because they have each other, are providing group therapy to each other?
Definitely.
You don't think that you don't feel like any of them probably need outside professional help, or you haven't seen that?
I'm sure everybody would need like professional help at some point, but I see things that these guys discuss. They discuss everything from how to test your balls for prostate cancer, and they will laugh. But in all of those jokes, the doctor is going to come through and give you the information you need. You get me? Like, it's going to say, oh, if you're feeling this, I would say that's not it, but go and have a second opinion. So they have discussions like that. So if somebody is starting a business and he needs advice, somebody who is working for, let me say, for like a venture farm in Nairobi, and the thing is that not all of them are even in the same area. They don't all live in Kampala, but they still keep in touch with each other. They fly to go to see someone, to attend so and so's wedding. Right. I haven't been to anybody's wedding in so long. I don't know, and it's not that I've not been invited, but that's not how I roll, and that's not my thing. Yeah. So when you are telling me to go for therapy, because I'd never done it before, I've always considered it to be a thing of weaklings. And I actually laughed because it's the same premise of this popular TV show called The Sopranos. Oh yeah. Because he's this big mafia boss. Macho man, mafia boss. And someone is suggesting that a mafia guy goes to a therapist?
That therapist does leak something? Is that where you even got this from? I feel like there was a show where some therapist is spying, or like for the wife, or I don't know.
No. I don't know if that's where I got it. But definitely I admit I have trust issues with most things or most people. But in terms of the mafia boss had to protect that he was seeing a therapist from his other mob guys, because it's like you're telling secrets to somebody else out of the circle. You get me? So I love that show, except the part where he rejected the black boy. The guy, his daughter brought home a black boy.
Yeah.
And he said some racist shit. Italians like sometimes say.
Well, unfortunately, a lot. That's
not all Italians, basically. That's another wrong statement.
No, but I was gotta say, unfortunately, a lot of the gangs, and because you're competing with each other, you again are othering the groups and saying we're better or this or that. Like that's
but what he said wasn't the statement he made when the daughter brought home a black guy wasn't because there were rival gangs. It was more like, why can't you marry an Italian guy? You're marrying I can't even dignify it by.
But I'm just saying that when you're rivals, you create. When you have to other groups, then you other the whole. So it's not like, oh, I don't like the black gang. It's going to be, oh, now I don't like black people. So I'm just saying that can. Those dynamics
I see what
can
you're
be
saying.
created. Yeah. So.
But historically.
Oh, so you saw that, and that was you were like, oh, look, Tony Soprano can go to therapy.
No. It was a joke to me because how long did you keep on asking me to go for this? Years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was years until I think it happened when I was heading for something that I really liked. I don't remember what it was. No, it was at the Black Hollywood Party. When I had an incident at the Black Hollywood Party. So then I was like, okay, this might be serious. I might need to actually see if this might work.
But then you started with a therapist who was a white female. You went to a few sessions, got some good skills, but then you didn't connect with her.
Yeah.
Then you gave up.
When you go to a therapist, she was a nice lady, but she grew up, I think, in Sweden. Now living in America. You just didn't feel like you didn't have shared background, so it's like how could when you're going to therapy, that's why I was talking about the guys in the basketball team and the high school.
They have shared experiences.
You have shared experiences that when you're talking about something, you don't have to describe it in 1,000 words to somebody. Yeah. You just say half a syllable and they get it.
Yeah.
You get me? So when I went for therapy in the US for the first time, as an African, going for therapy is seen as a sign of weakness.
Right.
Tony Soprano saw it as a sign of weakness. In the black community, even in America, so many people do not like to admit that they are seeing a therapist. But we all see that mental health, most of the times, for you to make sense and reorganize your thoughts, needs you to speak to a professional. Some people suffer with mental health that needs psychiatrists, and some people suffer with mental health that needs a psychologist. Some people suffer with mental health which needs medication.
Some people just need meditation.
Some people just need weed. Some people just need meditation. Yeah. So everybody develops coping mechanisms. And from my coping mechanism usually was alcohol.
Yes.
Like I can hold my alcohol. That's one skill. That's one skill I developed in the music industry, which I think it's a good thing that you can hold your liquor, because when you can hold your liquor, you can have longer conversations with people and get to know them better. That's how I like taking alcohol. So every time I felt anxiety coming on, I would drink wine. I'd have a Hennessy. I would find something or a glass of beer. But when you find that your coping mechanism is actually almost becoming an addiction, it's time for you to stop and seek something that is more sustainable. That's what I would advise anybody to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen people coping with marijuana, and it totally works for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's also people who are functional on weed and people who are not functional. And in LA, we have like 1 million strains, so it's like it becomes much more scientific. Some people go to therapists or social workers or doctors that specialize in using weed for depression, anxiety. So, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, I don't think there's any doctor or mental health expert who would say, take a drink.
Yeah,
so that's where I distinguish marijuana from alcohol.
Yeah, most of the people will discourage you from using But this is also another debate that now we are getting into in how the medical field sees things like meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how the medical field sees things like, in the beginning, for a doctor to suggest marijuana to a person, imagine like the 60s.
Right.
Drugs are bad for you.
Right. And
now,
now it's a
more like
movement.
Take some CBD to relax yourself.
Well, that's
take some, yeah.
And then there's also people who do what do they call it? Micro dosing of LSD for people who have trauma.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, I've watched so many different documentaries. Like there's all kinds of. It's amazing. Like people go on LSD trips or like have experiences. Think about ayahuasca. People go travel.
I would like to do that. I would like to do ayahuasca.
People do that because they're traumatized or they have ongoing depression or they have the medical issues. And it's like there's some different drugs that almost people say create like a reset in the body. But yeah, I mean that's the question. It's like what's a substance when it's like something can be accepted by society, something's not accepted by society, but then those things change over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I mean, I think the issue with alcohol is it's a depressant.
Yeah, alcohol is alcohol works for me because, like I said, even in the things you're talking about, drugs which are for reset and all of these other things, everybody's body is different. And everybody's mind is formed different. So there can never be that this is the magical cure. Like where we are with mental health and all the challenges where people are increasingly becoming diagnosed with all these anxieties. At first I thought it was just advertising.
Yeah.
Like big pharma wants to make money off the population. So they're making everybody believe they're sick, which was one of the reasons why I was like, I'm not going to go to therapy because that's how America or like the Western society tries to.
It's just being sucked into this business scheme
where you're paying money. Where you're paying money.
I can handle it myself.
So, but you get to realize that with all of these things, the substances or the coping mechanisms, everybody's body is different. Like I know myself, weed does not work for me.
Yeah.
Like it makes me
paranoid.
Yeah. Like even the littlest dose is going to make me paranoid. So it doesn't work for me. But alcohol slows down my thoughts and I'm having a good time and thinking clearly. Which is strange.
Well, you're thinking clearly until there's a certain number of drinks.
Well, everything in moderation. Yeah. Everything in moderation. Yes, again, everything in moderation. So I've heard of people trying out things. Like I would really want to do ayahuasca. The way it's described to me and the experience of it, I would like to try it.
We might go on ayahuasca, and if
on a
trip, and if we do, we'll document it.
But then again,
what if you get the bad trip?
What if you get the bad trip and you
don't
come back? And you don't come back from it.
Yeah.
And you don't come back from it. So in Uganda, there's this guy that we both know who had, I don't know if it was a drug trip or if it was just a mental health breakdown that he was going through so much. But he put off all of his clothes and began running through the city. And he was a radio presenter who everybody knew. Well respected in the music industry, a friend of ours. So I was like, I know this guy is a well-balanced human. Like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah.
But when I watched that, it reminded me so much of how, you know how you always look at people going through things and you think your friends can never be the people going through those things. They happen in society, but that's not like you look at the mad people, all the people who are on the streets crazy in Africa, and I'm like, oh, maybe they're just born crazy, and that's yeah. But then when I saw that happen, I was like, okay, even a good guy could have.
But you're saying this was from a bad trip?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a bad trip, and I've never had the opportunity of asking him and having a conversation with him, because shortly after that, the whole society was laughing, memes were being made, and nobody was having the empathy to empathize with him. So he just left the country and vanished. You get me? So
interesting. Yeah.
That's another coping mechanism. Do you just vanish away from everybody? Or do you begin talking about it and letting people know that you're not the only one going through that, and that it can happen to anybody? The older you grow, the more experiences that you have, and the society which has piled on so much pressure for success on people can lead to these kinds of experiences and results, and you need to find either ancient ways that societies have dealt with these problems. They say meditation works.
I think it does. I have not been able to develop the practice.
Yes. Me too.
No,
me too.
You can see studies and documentaries where they show people's brainwaves changing after months of meditation. Like it actually scientifically changes your brain. So it's a real thing.
Let's make a pinky promise that we're going to do this at least.
We always break our pinky promises, so I know how that's gonna go. But
but I would like to get to a point where I try this. So in hip hop is a very macho. I'm going to battle you. I'm more of a man than you are. It's that competition it's a dick measuring contest, by the way. Always, I mean, but in one of these very, very macho, it's very macho art form, you find groups like the Wu-Tang, right? Where their leader actually just meditates when he's in studio. Another person that I first seen, besides Reza of the Wu-Tang Clan, because again, he's practicing an ancient way of coping with his mental health.
Yes, alternative
medicine is that he meditates and teaches people in his group to meditate.
That's nice.
To have mental clarity. But then again, he's going to come through and do the same thing and vent and do his work properly. There's another guy called, one of the founders of Def Jam is this white guy with a long beard. I'm forgetting what his name is right now. Rick Rubin.
Oh, I got it right. Wow. See, I've been
getting
my hip hop on.
Yeah, you're getting your hip hop
Rubin.
on. I see you. Is he from Boston? Is that how you know him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I was talking about how he also has like different esoteric ways.
And who is it? Simmons that also used to meditate?
Oh, Russell Simmons. So they were partners. They were partners. But Russell Simmons is still meditation as well. This is hip hop and mental health.
Yeah.
He was also meditation as well. But Rick Rubin, who is much more of hip hop and rock, he actually brings an animal to a studio. I saw this in the Jay-Z documentary.
What do they call it? Support
animal.
Emotional support animal.
Emotional support animal.
Well, it is real
too. So Jay-Z's recording 99 Problems, and the dude had I don't know.
Did he have a cat? A dog?
It looked like a bison to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen people on planes flying with animals because that's
some of that's real and some of it's just
flying.
But some of it's just getting a certificate because now you're allowed to, and it's a kinder way to travel with your animal. But I think the point is there's so many different...
Can I bring an alligator to the plane? That's my support animal.
Can you get your alligator to get on the plane? If you can, I think you deserve to bring it on.
Eating chips like...
I think that there's more and more people like sharing how they like keep themselves healthy and happy or work towards that, because I think happiness is really, it's a struggle. Like
is happiness and mental health the same thing? Is happiness a product of good mental health?
I think so.
I think so too.
Because some people are just... I have my grandmother...
You can be blessed and talk yourself into depression and suicide.
Or you can have things going on and talk yourself... My grandmother, as we always... It's almost a joke. She calls herself Lucky Lady.
Yeah.
But like she's like the example of seeing things positive, like talking things into positive. Like it just is...
Yeah.
That's how she paints her world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So...
$99 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But So I don't know.
We've talked a lot about.
Clearly, we both think that it's great to just.
It's great to have therapy and have conversations like this, and be open when you're having a problem, because be open to somebody. Talk to somebody if you're having a problem.
And be open to trying different things, different things
Eastern
to help medicine.
You cope. Yes. You're not impressing anybody when you're driving yourself into addiction and digging a deeper hole. You're not impressing anybody if you're having these suicidal thoughts and you don't talk to somebody about it. If you're having anxiety, it could get worse if you don't find ways of coping with it. It's important that in our societies, especially Africa, where it's stigmatized, it's almost looked at as a curse.
Yeah.
It's important to change that culture. And it's important to... So before we go, I want to talk about how in the music industry in Uganda, the one that I see, most of the mental health problems are misdiagnosed as just people using drugs, or the blanket statement.
Yeah, because so many people with mental health issues use drugs
in order to
cover it, to feel numb.
Yeah, but to them, they think these people just take the drugs because they just want to be crazy and wild.
Yeah,
that's not it. People use these drugs because there's something in them which is not balanced, with something which is not right. Mentally, they're dealing with a person who's telling them, you will never make it as a musician, never make it as a musician. So with every time they fail to make a hit, every time they fail, their show flops, they pile on problems on problems on problems, and before you know it, if they are not strong enough to have the mental fortitude to deal with things, they'll try the drug to make them feel better.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the drug becomes an addiction. And before you know it, an addiction becomes something they can't control. And we've seen so many instances where people kill themselves.
Yeah.
So it's not a joke when we are telling people in the media to also have an understanding of what's going on. It's a very misdiagnosed phenomena and unfair way of looking at people.
Yeah, so I think it's a matter of having empathy and open-mindedness, not just towards others who might be going through things, but towards yourself. If you are struggling, have that self-empathy, be open-minded to try. There's so many different things that help different people, but just that life is not easy. It's a journey. It has obstacles and challenges, yes. and it's very okay to get help.
Another good book I read, which was it's a very simple book. It's called that's very freeing. Is The Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
Have you read that one?
Yes.
I
don't think I finished it, but I did.
It's almost cheesy. I was like, this is going to be cheesy, but then again, it had like some very important lessons for the millennial. If you're a millennial or a Gen Z, and life is putting on so many pressures if life is putting so many pressures on you, sometimes the best way of looking at it is that you can free yourself from that noose. Again, like you can free yourself from the rope around your neck, basically,
expectations,
and just say nah.
Yeah.
Like instead of saying there's a box or thinking out of the box, just say there's no box. Or I don't even want to be like, fuck a box, I want a circle. You get me? So we can redefine all of these things and recalibrate our society to make sure that it serves us. And we wish all of you more happiness. And if you're struggling with something, let us know what you're struggling with in the comment section. Tell us how you're coping.
Yeah, let us know if you have a type of meditation or a YouTube video you like, or something that you do to de-stress.
Are you doing yoga? Are you doing exercise?
Are you dancing?
Are you exercising every day? Are you doing music? Because my producer told me when we were recording this PR album, he said, here's a list of 10 things you can do when you feel anxious.
Yeah.
Like, write an album.
Yeah, for some people. Share some resources for each other and for us.
Yes. Share and be open-minded and be understanding, be empathetic.
Yes, I'm Miriam Tamar.
And I'm GNL Zamba Freud Sigmund.
We're in Nsimbi.
Peace and love.